Hi everyone, welcome to Woolen Spinning. My name is Rachel. Happy New Year. It is 2025 and we are starting off with a bang. It is so good to see everybody, and I am so pleased to have you all here and to welcome you to this place that is chock full of spinning yarn and making yarn and spinning all the things and using our hand spun yarn to make fabric, whether it's crocheted or knitted or woven. Such a pleasure to welcome you here. I'm doing really well. I'm feeling really good. We had a very interesting Christmas break holiday. The kids were off for 2.5 weeks and they were basically sick the entire time. Nora got to play in a soccer tournament with my brother as the coach, which was so much fun. She played with her niece. They're the same age and they both play soccer. And so my brother was short players for a tournament right before Christmas, so the weekend before Christmas. And he invited Nora to come and play on their team with them. He even got her a jersey with the number 14 on it because that's her favorite number. And they had a blast. It was so great. And then she got sick for the rest of the holiday. And then we had a really super quiet couple of weeks. We played tons of board games. That was really lovely. We had a very quiet, very conservative Christmas. There weren't any big gifts. It was really, really nice to see the kids just be really excited for the couple of things that they got. And then I took Nora back to Victoria. So Victoria, I live in just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. And if you go on a ferry to an island just off of the coast here, there's our capital of our province is Victoria, and that's where my brother lives. And I took Nora back this past weekend for my niece's birthday, and she had invited Nora to her birthday party, and they had so much fun. It was just 4 little girls that were so lovely and so nice. If you could just like hand pick friends for your kids, these are the kind of girls that you would want them to hang out with. So very, very nice. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful break. No matter what you celebrate, you are welcome here. And please share what you did. Did you have any downtime? Did you take any downtime? What did you do? I would love to hear. It is so good to see everybody. We've got, I'm going to miss names, so I'm so sorry in advance, but we got Paulina, Dion, Dagmar, Christine, Jen, Rebecca, welcome. Rebecca's got some very fun content organized for you guys coming up later this month on the Wool Circle. Deidre, Charlotte, Fionn, Kelly, welcome Kelly, she's a new member of our community. Who else? Oh my gosh. Eliane is here, Charlotte, Eve, Sam. I'm missing people. I'm like scrolling through. Dana, good to see you. So welcome everybody. Happy New Year. I am wearing my Lunenberg pullover. I pulled this out of my drawer this holiday season because I love this sweater so much. You can't get the yarn anymore, which is kind of sad. But Kelly, who's a member of our community, I'm just gonna move the camera up a little bit so you can see. She dyed the yarn. It was some Dorset from a local clip in Alberta, Canada, that she got, and I hand chose the colors, and it's just one of those sweaters I've always just been really happy with, and I feel like the colors were me and the sweater was me, and it just really worked. It is cold here. We've got frost on the cars this morning, frost on the grass and on the yard, and it's all just frosty and cold. We're finally into winter. We had a really mild winter here, or mild fall here. And I was in the mood for a sweater. So I got a really warm long sleeve shirt underneath, and this is just perfect. Oh, welcome to Wheezy. She's new to our community as well. Well, she's not new. She's new to the Slack channel. So welcome. And Diane is here. I'm going to keep listing off names because I'm so excited to see everyone. We have a very full show today because I've been doing a ton of spinning, as you can see, and we're going to talk a little bit about getting back to basics in the show, which I'm really excited about. I want to talk a little bit about Woolen Spinning Radio has been released for the month on January 1st. It always comes out on the 1st of the month. It's usually a conversation between me and Rebecca about something related to hand spinning and yarn and, you know, our thoughts around our process and what we're doing. This month, though, we have Megan of Bramble Ridge Hand-Dyed Yarns on the show because Breed Blends and Color Study is live. I am so excited to share all of this with you. So I'm not going to go, I'm going to share the ordering link for you. If you are not a patron of the community, this is your ordering link, but if you are a patron of the community, you need to go and get the discount code, which is for you in your Patreon feed, your post feed. Look for the Breed Blends and Color Study post. You need to look at the ordering link, at that post so that you can get the discount code. So the first link that I put into the live chat is for everyone. So if you're not a patron of the show, of the community, that is for you. And if you are a patron of the community, this is the post for you. So I'm going to post in the chat. The second link is the one for patrons, and that will give you your discount code for 10% off, which depending on where in the world you are, that maybe will help cover shipping or it might cover tax, whatever works for you. There's lots of options. There's a kit, there's full braids, whatever you want. So let me show you what Megan created. I'm really excited. So she's got 3 colorways that she created for us. She went above and beyond. These are them in the bag. So if you haven't seen the spoilers yet on like Instagram, and if you haven't seen them on Patreon yet, these are the spoilers. So this is the first one. So we created for Woolen Spinning. We created a blend. So I really wanted to move toward one of my most favorite things that I do in my hand spinning is I really love working with blends. I love taking the different characteristics of all the different things that we can create, and I like putting them together. And so Megan and I, when we started chatting, I said to her how much I enjoyed blends, and she said, you know, let's create one, let's make one. She's got this just great can-do attitude. So what we did, so spoiler alert, we created a blend that is 40% oatmeal BFL because we were going for that really beautiful nuanced kind of color. 40% Wensleydale, there's your long wool to give you strength for socks, and your 20% Mohair. So this is a really ideal blend for socks, but you can use it for anything. I'm probably not going to do socks with mine. I have some other ideas percolating. Rebecca is definitely going to do socks. And this all goes with all of the content that Rebecca has been doing on the Wool Circle, which is the live stream that goes every other Tuesday to this stream. So the podcast is kind of the heart and soul of Woolen Spinning, and Woolen Spinning has kind of grown over the years, as you guys know. And Rebecca came on almost 3 years ago. She's at the 2.5 year mark right now. It's crazy. We're going to have to do some sort of a big celebration in September of 2025 because that'll be her 3-year anniversary. And we've been doing our book study on the Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs by Sarah Anderson. And we've been looking at yarn structure all fall. We're going to continue to look at yarn structure into the spring. And these are the colorways that Megan's come up with on this fiber to sort of take those yarn structures and apply them to a spin along together. So spin along, knit along is spackle, S-P-A-K-A-L, for those who haven't heard that term before. So this is the first colorway. This is called Winter Morning. I love this one. I love all of them, but I love this one. So beautiful. And then the second one is called Deep Freeze. And I'll show you guys the photos that she used that inspired these. I'll show those in just a minute. I love this one. It's funny because the photographs of this one initially that she sent me after she dyed it, it was a little bit, they weren't as vibrant. And then I saw it in real life and I was like, oh my goodness, this is just beautiful. And then the third one, and this is the one that she basically So this one, she did herself. So she was really inspired by these two colorways, which I'll show you the third one in a second. And then because she was so inspired, she made this one sort of from what she had already done. And this one is called Fireside. I love this one. This was inspired by one of Carol's photos, who's part of the community, that she posted. And I just think there's so many different colors in here. It is just beautiful. This one was inspired by Florence's photo. And if you follow me on social media at Woolen Spinning, you can see all of these, the inspiration photos and everything. So together, they coordinate, they go together, because there's the purple in these two, there's the blue in all of them, the yellow, they work together. So if you're thinking about maybe getting a half kit, where you get half of each of the braids, so 50 grams of each, think about maybe doing a combo, and combining these. So a singles of each. Really exciting. So I will talk about this more and my sampling, what I've been doing with these, after we kind of get more into the show. So let me just put these away. Do you guys want to do that now? Do you want to talk about the sampling now? And then we can do the intro credits and stuff later. The other piece of this is to help everybody, those of you who are patrons of the community, you will see in the feed post, it came out in December. Look for the video called Long Wool's Revolution. It was the teaching vlog that came out for December. You guys, for those of you who've not spun fibers like Wensleydale before, especially blended with the oatmeal BFL and the Mohair, go and have a look at that video and report back. Let me know how it goes. Eve says, I love the winter morning braid. I do too, Eve. I love it. Wheezy's thinking maybe about a combo ply. Rebecca, it's funny because Becca always combines the breeding color study. Like over the years, I think, Becca, am I correct in saying you've done every single one? Am I correct about that? I think you have. I think you're one of the few people that has done every single one, except for maybe one. She often will combine them. And she got the half braid mix. I'm so excited. Carolyn says, I'm so curious about what you're all doing with this beautiful fiber. And Megan obviously sends out her apologies about all of the changes for the EU shipping situation with all of the new stuff that came in with all the new restrictions. She can't ship to the EU at this time. Hopefully that'll change in the future, but at this time. So maybe we can do some, Sherpa stuff and get fiber through the UK and people can pass it on from there maybe. Hopefully we can figure some stuff out for people and you guys can connect with one another. Those of you who are in the UK who would be willing to help out and send on to someone else, hopefully you guys can connect. My sampling. Let's talk about my sampling. I'm so excited about my sampling. So I've got my samples here. Let me just move some of this other stuff out of the way. These are my 3 samples here. So Megan was so generous. And she actually gave me some of the fiber undyed when she first received it to just start working on it. And she's been knitting up a pair of socks. So if you follow her at bramble.ridge on Instagram, she has been knitting a pair of socks and her son has been wearing them and using them. So this is the base fiber undyed. It's just this beautiful silver gray, this warm silver gray color. And this was leftovers that I had on the bobbin that made a 2-ply. So this was just leftovers from my spinning. I wasn't intending to make a 2-ply, but because I had leftover, I wanted to see what the 2-ply would be like. We're supposed to be doing yarn structure. We're supposed to be looking at like crepe yarn and Hauser yarn and cabled yarn and 3-ply versus 4-ply and blah. And I'm like, I really like the 2-ply. I'm like already breaking the rules. I'm terrible when it comes to spin-alongs and knit-alongs and stuff. They're not my, I have a teeny tiny, it's not very big. Seriously, it's not very big, but I have a teeny tiny like rebellious side of me where it's like, if I'm told what to do, it's not that I don't not want to do it. It's just like, I want to do that and other things. And I ended up really loving the 2-ply. I just really liked it. It's got a nice drape to it. It's got beautiful sheen, a little bit of halo. That comes from all 3, the Wensleydale, the Mohair, and the BFL. So expect a mohair with a halo with this. Oh, got a little bit. I think it's all the fiber. It's like getting into my throat. Yeah, and so this just has a beautiful sheen. It's got a beautiful drape to it. It doesn't have a lot of elasticity, which we wouldn't expect, but it does have a teeny tiny bit. I'm always surprised with the long wools. They do always have a little bit. You know, you think that the elasticity is 0, but it's actually usually like, you know, a little bit. You know, it might only be, you know, for me, it's usually less than 1%, but it's there. I was really, really surprised at some samples that I did for Ply magazine for an issue that's coming out later this year. I had to do some elasticity tests, and sure enough, the long wools had a little bit of bounce to them, and I was like, okay. So that's the 2-ply sample. And then things got interesting, and I actually talked to Rebecca about this yesterday because I was like, I got lazy. Rachel gets lazy sometimes and doesn't put enough twist in things. Yeah, Dion, do it because she'll I'm sure she'll say yes. I'm sure. Dion was saying she was going to ask if you guys could get some undyed fiber. I'm sure that Megan will send you some. Absolutely. You know what, Sam? That's so true. She says, you're a Gemini, Rachel. Yes, I am. Did I ever tell you guys what my mom said when I introduced my husband, at the time fiance, to my parents? My parents met my partner, my husband. They met him after we were like we'd already basically decided that we were going to get married. So my parents it was sort of like, well, you better like him because we're basically already engaged. Anyway, so my mom, I told her about him, and I told her, you know, and she was like, oh, like, when's his birthday? And, you know, because she wanted to write it down. And I told her, and she kind of stopped, and she looked at me, and she's like, I wonder how that's going to work. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And she's like, you're both Gemini. There's 4 of you in your relationship. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So I got a bit lazy, and I didn't put enough twist into the 2-ply for this yarn. And I think, so what's kind of ended up happening is the yarn has sort of ended up being a little bit lackadaisical, but this is a crepe yarn. So it was a sample that I did that was a crepe, and it's just kind of a bit underspun. So I'm curious to see what it will look like when I do a knitted sample, because I will do a knitted sample, because it's just kind of a little bit underspun. And then that third singles that gets wrapped around the 2-ply, which makes it a crepe yarn, it's such a fun structure. It kind of gets lost because with the long wools, they're never going to pop like a fine wool does. So, you know, when you cram a whole bunch of twist into your fine wools, they take that twist beautifully because of all that crimp in there. And then you wrap that third singles around in the opposite direction to make that crepe yarn. So you've kind of got this 2-ply, and then you've got this other singles that wraps around, and the whole thing just kind of pops into place if there's enough twist. If there's too much, it looks really super flat. So you've kind of got this sweet spot that you're trying to create. But with the long wools, they're never going to pop in that same way. You're never going to get that bounce and that sproing and that sort of chain link effect to the same extent that you're going to get with the fine wools. And so there is sort of, you have to adjust your eye a little bit to see that different aesthetic. But this definitely just doesn't have the same degree of, I was going to say pop factor, but I also kind of mean like the same degree of drama. Like it just doesn't look, to the untrained eye, this just looks like a 2-ply. But then when you really look closely at it, you're sort of like, oh yeah, there is something going on, but I'm not really sure what that is. So this, I wasn't disappointed with this yarn. It came out the way that I expected. I just realized right away, as soon as I pulled it out of the water, I realized that I hadn't put enough twist into the 2-ply. So it would pop a little bit more if I had put an adequate amount of twist into it. But that's fine. It's still a structurally stable yarn. It's just on the slightly lower twist side. So it'll be interesting to see what the knitted swatch does. This yarn, I saved it for last for a reason. This yarn, whew, it is beautiful. This is a traditional 3-ply. It is my favorite yarn structure. For those of you who followed me for a long time and who have been around on the podcast for a long time, you guys know how I feel about 3-ply. It truly is my absolute most favorite structure. It's simple. It only takes a little bit of extra time to spin that third bobbin. It's a round yarn. It tends to be really structurally stable. It's not my most favorite for weaving. I do sort of tend to still really like 2-ply for weaving when I'm spinning for weaving. But because the majority of what I do is knitting, especially because I'm often on the go and I'm waiting or I'm picking up my knitting and putting it down, I do love me a good 3-ply. So this was medium, I would call this medium, like good twist singles, and a pretty good twist in the ply. The twist angle is sort of around 35 degrees, which for a long wool is, for me, is about right. It's not over twisted in any way. And it just has a really, really nice consistency to it. It's nice and round. It's not too high twist. It's got a beautiful sheen to it. And it's quite soft. It's quite so I could absolutely wear this. Is softer than the sweater that I'm wearing. I could absolutely wear this next to my skin. Now it'll be interesting to see what the knitted swatch looks like, only because long wools don't love bending, and they don't tend to like to go around a corner particularly well. That's why they are just absolutely beautiful for weaving yarns, because they remain straight, and that highlights their sheen. They don't like to go around the corner for weft, but you can also play around with what you used for your weft if you don't want to use the same warp and weft. So it'll be interesting to sort of see what this knits up like as a sample, because this is a beautiful sweater yarn, which means it's also a beautiful sock yarn. So I might be tempted yet. We'll see. I might be tempted. I'm gonna reserve judgment. I'm gonna see what the knitted swatches look like. So that is Breed Color Study. Breed Blends and Color Study. It's going to take me a while to retrain myself to call it that. I hope that you guys enjoy doing this again. It's been quite a few years since we've had a Breed and Color Study, and now we've kind of shifted a little bit as the community has grown in our skill and our ability. You know, we've kind of shifted now to sort of working more with like blends, which I'm really excited about. I really want to hear from you guys how this goes. I want to know how you found the amount of fiber. Did you like having the half kits offered? Did you like the mix and match? Like, you don't have to get all 3 braids. You could get 1 or 2 of them. You could get all 3. You could get multiples of all 3. You could get a couple of half kits, like whatever you want to do. So I want to know, you know, you can message me, you can post in Slack, you can let me know on Patreon, whatever feels comfortable for you and whatever feels like a good place to reach out. We are going to start a separate channel on Slack for the Breed Blends and Color Study, and I will make sure when I set that up later today that I tag it in the general channel so that you guys can go and join that channel on the Slack channel. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about with the Slack channel, and you don't kind of know about that part of Patreon, and you haven't had the opportunity to sort of find out about it yet, you can always reach out to me, or you can have a look on Patreon at patreon.com/woolenspinning/join, and that will show you all of the tiers and what's available. And if you're confused, reach out. Yeah, Paulina, I was like 2 seconds ahead of you. I love it. Yeah, she was wondering if there would be a separate channel, and yes, there will be. Absolutely. Okay. Why don't we run the credits, and we'll do a little bit more housekeeping when we come back, just because I want to make sure you guys know about what's going on in the new year. It's funny actually, because Wheezy made a comment in the chat. She said, I loved having the half kits because I always like to try everything. And I think that's a really good point actually, because sometimes you don't want all the things and you want to just try something, and you don't sort of want to inundate yourself with this huge amount of stuff that now you feel like you have to use, or that becomes so overwhelming that it ends up being stashed and you don't participate at all. The whole idea of this is to participate. So I hope that, yeah, I'm glad that that was something that was helpful. Upcoming this year, I still have 2024 there. I should have changed it to 2025. So, you know, I'm only a year behind, but that's okay. We're still looking at yarn structure. So we're going into crepe yarns this month. We're going to be looking at, Rebecca, help me out here. You're going to be looking at crepe yarn, and then I'm trying to remember what's coming up in February. This will sort of take us out, this study, this Breed Blends and Color study and the yarn structure study. All of it is tied together. For the sort of inside track of all of this, hop onto the Wool Circle, and you can find that as the free trial. There's a 7-day free trial, and you just want to go back and start watching the episodes from September onward, and that'll tie in with the Breed Blends and Color Study. So all of it kind of goes together. You do not need to participate in the Patreon stuff to participate in Breed Blends and Color Study. They can absolutely be separate for you. They can also go together for you, whatever works. And the Spinning Pearl stuff is all of the stuff that, as a subscriber to Patreon, you'll continue to receive throughout the month, and that just comes up in your feed, and you'll see those posts as they come up. Spinning Staples, that group, there's a couple of spots left still. That is the dedicated book study group. So they look at what's been discussed on the Wool Circle, and then they bring it to the group, and they discuss their experimentation, what they've been working on, where they're at in the book. Rebecca takes them through sort of more of a guided study. And that group is on Thursdays, 2 Thursdays a month, and they are meeting not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday after the Wool Circle next week. And then Queries is a group that's been meeting since March of 2020, and we are currently looking at drum carding. We're looking at hand carding, like hand crank drum carders, motorized carders. We're sort of having this like deep dive into carding at the moment, and we meet on the 2nd and 4th Saturday of each month. So we're actually meeting this coming Saturday. So I'm looking forward to reconnecting with everybody. We've been off for a couple weeks, and it'll be so good to hear how everybody's new year went. So that is up and coming. There are always a couple I think there are a couple of spots in Queries still. I know there are a couple of spots in Staplers. And then if you're a part of the Slack channel, I can't keep up. You guys are so active. And this morning my heart sang. My heart was singing as I was driving back from dropping the kids off, because there's a couple of people who've joined the community who are new to the Tuesdays spin group. And they were asking some really great questions about fiber and getting started, and they've made their first yarns and blah, blah, blah. And you guys just came alongside. You were helping, you were helpful. You weren't giving unsolicited advice. You were really helping and supporting them. And it just made my heart sing. So Spin Group meets Monday mornings, Tuesday mornings, and Thursday mornings. The Thursday group is London, UK time, to catch those that are down under in Australia and New Zealand. So thank you to Eve for hosting that group. Thank you to Lisa for Mondays and the Friday groups. Fiber Prep and Weaving group is Fridays at 8 a.m. And then thank you to Glenda for hosting on Tuesdays. Maker Morning, we're going to be meeting this coming Thursday. Watch for the Patreon post. That'll have the link in it for you. And then we're going to meet again on Wednesday, January 22nd. So that I'm really excited to get back to Maker Morning, get back to the regular schedule with Maker Morning with you guys. I have always traditionally recorded Maker Morning, and then it gets posted later. And for those who are part of the Patreon community, especially for those who can't join Maker Morning because the times don't work, I've always recorded it for people to watch later. Those people who watch Maker Morning after the fact, I want to hear from you. Did you miss not having it in November and December and being able to catch up post facto? Do you care? Do you not care? I want to know. Does it make sense to continue to record them or not? None of the other Zoom groups are recorded. They're grassroots groups from the community, and I just want to know if that's something that you guys want. So please let me know. The other thing that I wanted to say too was this housekeeping that we go through every show. I was finding last year for me, it was getting to be a lot just to go through it every single show and to refresh everybody's memories and stuff. So my thought, and I would love to hear in the live chat, and I think I already know what you guys are going to say. My thought is that we'll only do this and we'll only go through all of this on the first show of the month. So I think the housekeeping, what's going on in the community, Breed Blends and Color Studies, all the links, what's going on with the book study, all of the housekeeping, we'll just do it on the first show every month. What do you guys think? And then the second show, I'll just say, go back to the previous show for all the information about what's going on in the community. What do you guys think? I want to know. Tell me all the things. Okay. I did start a 2025 spindling project, so let's talk about that next. You guys could probably hear me stirring my matcha in the background. The milk and everything is all sitting on top because I foamed the milk, which is lovely, but now I'm like trying to like, you know, like stir it in. Thanks, Paulina. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Or just put the slide up for a minute or two. Rebecca, I like that idea too, just to kind of catch people and remind them that there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes on in our community. Like there is a lot. And it's hard to make sure that we disseminate all of the information to everybody, because sometimes people have been away or they miss a couple of shows and then they're not sure what's going on and they don't want to miss anything. And like, it's big. Yeah. Ooh, I really like that, Christine. That's a great idea. Put up a page with the diary of info after the credits, and then people can pause and have a look at them. That's wonderful. And then we can just kind of keep on going. I really like that. Yeah. It is a lot. Like, it is a lot to go through. And yeah, it's hard to make sure that everybody's aware and that everybody knows where everything is and that they have access and everything. The Zoom groups don't really change. They seem to be very, very stable in terms of the times and everything. So I'm actually tempted even just to put that slide up at the beginning of the show before the live stream actually physically starts, just to remind people, like, if you're part of the Slack channel, come one, come all, you are always welcome. Spindling. I'm actually really excited about this. So I went through my stash. I kind of shared this with you guys briefly last year. Sounds so funny to say that. Last year. I'm just going to unpack my bag here because I forgot to do it ahead of time. I had 2 sets of these from Katrina from March of 2020. And Katrina of Crafty Jack's Boutique, and she had made these roll legs, and I'll see if I can show you guys one that's not in the bag because then you can actually see it better. And they were chock full of sari silk and tussa silk, and they were dyed, and then so it's a hot mess over here. And then the wool was organic Polworth, so that was kind of the base, if you will, of the roll legs. And she had carded that, and then she had carded the sari silk and the tussa into them. And each kit came with about 14 roll legs to spin. And the ratios were, and they're 4.9 ounces. Like, this was quite a lot of fiber. 4.9 ounces, 139 grams. And it was 22% sari silk, 16% mulberry silk. Sorry, I said tussa, I meant mulberry. And 62% organic Polworth. And I actually think the Polworth was left over from one of the breed and color studies that we did years ago. I might be wrong about that, but I feel like that's maybe where it came from. And I did a spin like this. Let me see if I can find it. Where did I put it? Why is it not here? The other one was these colors. So this was like reds and pinks, and the organic Polworth was kind of more of a pinky color. And so that really brought out the reds and the yellows in the sari silk. Because you can see in the sari silk, like there's a lot of color in it. And this was the first one that I did, same weight. It was roughly 5 ounces as well. And I worked on this over the course of 2023. I think it was 2023. Got quite a lot of yardage, really enjoyed the spin, learned a ton on my support spindles. I was still kind of playing around with the supported spindles at that time, still learning them, wasn't really super comfortable. And I really liked that it was a textured spin, so as I was drafting out and drawing out, it didn't matter if it wasn't perfect because the sari silk doesn't draft really super smoothly like some of the other preps that we have. I talked about this, I did talk about this last show. I also wanted to play around with my hollow whirl spindle from Helen of Maudsley Fiber Arts. She's located in northern Alberta. Is she still in Hinton, Fionn? I can't remember. I know they moved. I showed this last time. So this, I'm slowly I'm slowly filling this up. It's just a beautiful spindle. It has a beautiful spin on it. And I also started working on another one. I'm finding I've lost my endurance, you guys. I've lost my like endurance to flick. Because I haven't really spindle spun. I didn't really support spindle spin a lot last year. And my spindle project for last year was on drop spindles. It was my London Fog by Fat Cat Knits. And so pulling out my supported spindles again, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have lost like my muscle memory. I can't flick as long as I was able to before. So I've been going back and forth between these two because this one's a little bit easier. It's a little bit lighter, and this one's a little bit heavier. I wish the tip on this was a little bit finer. So I'm going to talk to Helen about if I can sand it down a little bit. So I've been working through this, and this is the equivalent of about, I think I've spun about 3 roll legs already. I think I've done about 3, maybe 4, maybe. 4 seems a bit much, maybe, but 3 for sure. And I've just been really enjoying this project. I'm loving the color. It's a little bit more of a color that's more me compared to the previous one. So I think that's keeping me motivated. And I've been finding that getting through the roll legs, I'm actually a little bit quicker than I used to be. So I'm actually drafting through the roll legs and spinning more quickly than I did a few years ago, which is kind of fun. Even though I haven't done a lot of supported spindling over the last last year, coming back to it and having that muscle memory still and being able to just pick it up and go has been really affirming. The other thing that I'll say about this project is I've been really careful not to get too hung up on how consistent the yarn is as I draft out. The whole point of that sari silk being in there is to create a textured yarn. And I remember with this other spin that I did, this one, being really like, oh, I got to make sure that it's consistent. I got to draft out that sari silk, and I got to da 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 da. And it's been really, really good for me coming back to this fiber again, because it's basically the same. I bought them at the same time, just different colors. It's been really good coming back to it to be like, no, the yarn turned out, the yarn was perfect. Like this yarn is like awesome. It's textured, it's fun, it's got a really great feel to it. It feels like silk more so than wool. It drapes like silk. It's just a really fun skein of yarn. And my original plan had been to use them together in a project, but I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just really enjoying the project. So that'll be my year-long supported spindle spin. I always try to have one spindle spin on drop or supported for the year. And hopefully it won't take me a whole year. Hopefully it'll be one of those like, projects that I really enjoy that I end up finishing relatively quickly. So let's talk about getting back to basics and just spinning for the love of spinning. So let me show you what I did over the last 3 weeks. Yeah, so Rebecca says I need to start a spindle project. Yeah, because you try to have one on the spindles all the time as well. Yeah, Christine, she's got the same Mirkwood. I love mine too. I've got 2 of them. I've got the POC, and then I've got that one that you and I both have. I know some other people in the community have the POC as well. I just love them. If I had to give up all of my spindles, those are the 2 that I would keep. I just love them, and I come back to them again and again and again and again. And I wish that our Canadian dollar wasn't so low right now, because it just makes getting anything from the States out of reach, especially when you add shipping on top of it. And because I would actually really like to get another one, but not at this time. Okay, getting back to basics. Let's talk about getting back to basics. I had a little bit of a face palm like moment over the holiday season, and it was because of a couple of things. So I'll try not to wax poetic about this for too long, because otherwise the show just gets to be way too long. But I kind of had a moment after the last live stream. I didn't really have anything on the wheels, and I really wanted to start something. And I had a couple of things that were going in the background, but they still need to be carded. I need to get out my big motorized carder. I don't really have anywhere to set it up permanently yet. I'm thinking about putting it right here to my left, your right. We're going to take this desk out of here. The kids aren't going to do their schoolwork in here anymore. They really don't like working in here when they're doing their schoolwork, because my kids, for those who are new to the community, my kids are partially homeschooled, so they go to school 2.5 days a week and then they're home for 2.5 days. It's the best of both worlds. It's been a real lifesaver for us. And so long term, I would like to put the motorized carder here permanently, but I also want to make sure that it's set up in a way that I can get in and vacuum it easily and keep the area clean. And so I had some stuff, like I needed to card a bunch of stuff, and I've been really feeling the pressure of this sort of mounting stash, even though I haven't really been bringing a lot in. There's been a few things come in over the last few months, and just kind of being very aware of it, knowing that breed blends and color studies coming up, and just all of that, right? And I sort of had this moment where I was just sitting there thinking about sort of, I just want to spin. I don't want to do fiber prep. I don't want to pull out my carder. I just want to spin. Like, when did it become not okay to just spin? So I had a little bit of a, kind of a moment. And I sort of realized, so just bear with me for just a minute here, okay? I sort of had a moment. Why don't you guys look at pretty pictures while I'm talking? Why don't you look at pretty pictures and I will wax poetic? I kind of had this moment over the holiday where I sort of thought, I've kind of become my own worst enemy a little bit. And we've had copious conversations about this since in the spin groups over the last couple of weeks. So this isn't coming this isn't kind of completely out of left field. But I kind of realized that because I sort of started to feel quite a bit of pressure to do quite a bit of fiber prep before I sit down at my wheel, I started to feel like I'd sort of gotten lost in the weeds a little bit, that I was sort of out there in this bog, sort of in the weeds, kind of trying to find my way a little bit and sort of trying to figure out how to give myself permission to just sit down and spin. And that might sound a bit odd to some of you, especially if you're sort of on more at the beginning of your journey and learning and sort of entering this world and entering your journey. But for those of us who've been doing this for a while, it kind of gets a little bit like, well, it would be really, I'd have this really great prep if I did X, Y, and Z. And, I've got all these braids. I don't really know what to do with a 100-gram braid. Like, it's kind of, the project is the spin in that situation. And I don't know if I really want to spend my time doing another one. I've done tons. Like, I get kind of stuck in the weeds, and I have this visual in my head of this bog. We're in a bog and we're in the weeds and I just feel a bit stuck. I'm in my galoshes and they're stuck in the mud and paralyzed. And I think over the last few weeks, there has been so much happen over the last 6 months in our life, my personal life, as well as, and a couple of things that affected me personally, that wasn't anything to do with Mike and the kids. It was stuff that was mine, that I've really sort of had this paradigm shift over the last few weeks where, first of all, life is too short. Second of all, why am I asking permission, whether it's from myself or anyone else, to just sit down and spin? I mean, talk about a bit ridiculous. And thirdly, it's okay not to prep. Like, it's okay to just sit down and spin. And I know that sounds a bit simple and a bit kind of like, well, yeah, duh. But it sort of has felt for me over the last few years that as I've started to spin more and more from fleece and work from raw fleece, which is really what I love to do. That's really at the crux of what I like to do, the heart of the matter when it comes to what I want to be creating, what I want to be working on, is going from the raw, scouring, the prepping, the spinning, all the way through to either the knitting or the weaving and the dyeing. And, so I sort of had this moment of like, and kind of pulling my hair out a little bit. So you know what I did? I stopped asking for permission from myself to just spin, and I sat down and I just spun. So this one here is the Fun House. This one is Mushroom Hunt. And I had already spun Fun House back before back before the holiday. So that one I'd already talked about on the podcast. But what I did do was I went through, I have a lot of bins, and that's where I keep my fiber, and they're clear and I can see into them. And I had a couple that I had over the course of the fall brought into the house because they had other things in them that I needed. And they just happened to also have braids tucked in because of storage, and just kind of tucking them in on the side, you know, because they don't take up much space. One could argue that the yarn takes up even less space, and that would be a motivation to get it spun. But anyways, so I didn't go hunting. I didn't go looking. I just started pulling the braids out that were in those particular bins that had happened to make their way into the house. So this one here is actually finished. I never even took a photo of the fiber before I started spinning it, which is like heresy in my house, in my book. It's not finished until it has the fiber photo, the bobbin photo, the finished yarn photo. Like, anyways, I have to let it go. This is Hilltop Cloud. Eve sent this to me eons ago. It is November 2019 Never Ending Gradient Club, and it's British BFL. And let me just go to the big camera for just a minute, and it's done. And I love it. And I have a great photo of it on my skein winder, all gradient, like it's all gradientized from when I wound it. Is this my best spinning? No. Does it matter? No. Am I really happy with the finished yarn? I am. I was really surprised. I never chain ply. I chain plied it. I'll take it out of the skein in just a minute, but you can really see the twist and everything if I keep it skeined for just a moment. It has this beautiful gold in it that's just beautiful, and next to that denim blue, it really pops. And then it has this beautiful kind of, I don't even know what green you would call that. It's kind of a bit of a sage green. It just really is beautiful. I didn't worry about being really super consistent. I just spun. I didn't strip the braid. I didn't open it up. I literally pulled the end out, thought this is a good color to start with, and started spinning. I did continuous back, so that's where we pinch, draft back, smooth, pinch, draw back, smooth, and then wind it all onto the bobbin. So I did about 4 drafts, 5 treadles at 27-1. And because that's kind of my autopilot, like I can sit there and I don't have to count. I can just go, and I get a really consistent, beautiful yarn, and it matches my sweater. I just noticed that. There's a theme here, people. And that's the yarn, and it's beautiful. And I chain plied it, and you can see the little knots in places because BFL is a longer wool. It is considered a long wool, and some of it's very fine. Like if you get a lamb's BFL, it's sort of almost it could be argued that it would be a fine wool. It sort of rides that line. It's a little bit rebellious. But so because it is a long wool, you can see in places the little knots of the chain ply. But honest to goodness, this came out. I'm going to toot puff for a minute here. This came out beautifully. And as I was spinning it, I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. Because I wasn't being really, I wasn't paying a lot of attention. Because the kids were sick over the holidays, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that we played so many, isn't that beautiful? We played tons and tons of board games. So I set my wheel up at the table, kind of off to the side, because we play tabletop games. And I mentioned that on the podcast before. And our newest one that we've been playing all fall, and we started it back in the summer, and we've continued to play it, is Adventure Tactics. So if anybody's looking for a tabletop game, Adventure Tactics is just a fantastic game. James is almost 13, and he's still super into it. And we just got the expansion for it, which is adds a new character and adds a hard mode, and that's what we've been doing, and it's been so much fun. So if you're looking for a really great tabletop game, look for Adventure Tactics Domian's Tower. And it's a game that, you know, I would say sort of you need to be able to read, otherwise you're helping your kids, you know, and it just slows the game down, and it's already quite a long game. One sort of adventure, if you will. Like one page of it takes about 90 minutes. And then if you have to level up your character and you have to collect stuff from your supply loot, it takes about 2 hours. So the kids need to be old enough that that they can sustain that focus, but it is a phenomenal game. And so I set my wheel up next to the table and I just spun. So I wasn't really watching my hands and I wasn't paying attention. And so I felt and I didn't ply this right away. I had 5 bobbins of all of these spins piled up next to me, and this just happened to be the first one that I plied. So the second one that I plied was Funhouse. This is a nutty skein. It's just, I call it, when things are nutty, I call them nutter butter. I don't know why. It's just like, oh, you're being nutter butter. One of my Rachel-isms. This is Funhouse by Bramble Ridge. So let me show you the original braid because it's quite an interesting braid. It's one of Megan's most popular colorways, and it's kind of a crazy colorway. This is Mushroom Hunt. It's kind of a crazy braid. Like you've got all that hot pink in there and you've got that beautiful green, which are sort of opposite each other on the color wheel. And because of the green and the pink, you've got all of the primaries in there. So you've got the blue and the yellow to make the green, and then you've got that hot pink. And then you've got that dark purple in there, which gives you all this dark that runs through the entire skein. I did this off of my hand cards back in the fall, and I talked about spinning the singles on the show. So if you go back to the shows in the fall and look for the title with Hanoui fiber in it, Bramble Ridge Hanoui, that's when I prepped it. This kind of ended up being a little bit of a crazy spin because I didn't divide the fiber evenly, so I ended up with too much on one bobbin and not enough on the other. But what I ended up doing was I just plied it as a 2-ply. I was originally going to do a 3-ply. I kind of wish I had done a 3-ply. But I did it as a 2-ply in the end, so, you know, c'est la vie. And I did a center pull ball for the remainder that was on one of the bobbins. So it's not how I would normally like to do things, because I find when I ply from a center pull ball, it's kind of like chain ply. There's a little bit more twist that builds up because you're managing the ball at the same time. With chain ply, as you're pulling your loops to chain ply, twist tends to build up because we continue to treadle while we're, you know, smoothing, and then it takes time to draw that next loop. I find the same thing happens with my center pull balls. So I tried to be just really mindful when I got to that part. And it's very, very, very barber pulled. This skein is very, very barber pulled, but you know, it came out pretty even. It's not my most consistent spinning, and that's okay. And it's very high contrast because of that dark purple and then the hot pink and the yellow. It's not my favorite colors, but I'm really, really happy with this, and I totally get why people love this colorway. It is so much fun, and it transitions between all the different colors relatively quickly. So it's almost like potato chip knitting, because you're like, oh, I wonder what color is coming next. Ooh, there's another color. Ooh, I like that color. And then it just kind of keeps you going, and it's really, really fast to spin. Fionn did a combo spin with this one, and so did Megan. And they were showing it off at Knit Night one night back in the winter, I think, right, Fionn? And the yarns that they spun and the combo was just beautiful. Beautiful. I am glad that I didn't combo this with Mushroom Hunt. That was my original plan. And the reason is because if we go back to Mushroom Hunt, this is sort of part of my like thought process with some of this stuff. When you look at these two braids side by side, so this is Mushroom Hunt. I still haven't rewound the singles yet. I am going to rewind the singles for this one. And I probably will do a 3-ply. You can see the reason why I didn't end up doing these as a combo, that was my original plan because of the green in both of them and the yellow and the gold, is because the Funhouse is very high contrast and the Mushroom Hunt is very subdued. It's very quiet. That creamy, yellowy, greeny that's in it is actually quite a bit of the braid. So when I undid it and looked at it, I was like, ooh, these two next to each other is just gonna be really, really high contrast. So I just decided to keep them separate, which is totally fine. So that is next on the plying. And then I really wanted to get this spun. So this is, let me just scroll through these photos here with you guys for a sec. This is Giddy Up. So this is from Knit City Calgary. Megan did a special Knit City Calgary colorway back in August, and this was BFL Massam. It's a 75-25, so 75% BFL, 25% Massam. We did Massam in one of our previous breed and color studies. You can't really see it here, but the bobbin's pretty, it's funny. It's not as bouncy and it doesn't take up as much space, even though these weigh the same amount. The BFL is denser, it's a denser fiber, so for the same amount, the same weight of fiber, you have more Hanui, which is a fine wool, versus the BFL. So isn't that funny? I wanted to show you guys this is part of the reason why I didn't ply them yet. I wanted you to see the difference. Like you need more weight of fiber when you're dealing with the denser wools, the long wools especially. You're gonna need more physical fiber to get the same yardage because they just weigh more. The grist of your yarns is going to be lower. It's not because you automatically are spinning thicker, it's because they literally weigh more, and this weighs less. So this was really fun to spin. Same as what I did with Hilltop Cloud and Mushroom Hunt. I did zero prep. I literally sat down and started spinning, and this went so fast. And part of that is because there's literally not as much fiber for the same weight. But still, like 100 grams is the braid it's a fair amount of fiber. But it just spun up like a dream, and it was spun really quickly. It's dark, it's moody. It's going to be, I'm really looking forward to applying that. So that is going to be wound off for a 2-ply. And then the last one that I did, and again, I never took any photos because I just didn't, was Hello Yarn. This is one of the old clubs. It was also in one of the bins that had been slowly brought inside over the course of the fall, looking for other stuff and looking for other fiber. Very similar colors to Giddy Up, which was kind of funny that they ended up in the same bin. Very, very similar. Not quite as dark and moody, more pink. And a little bit lighter. So I'm excited to show this to you guys once it's plied, but this is a Corriedale, and it was December 2020's Fiber Club Nestle Road, and this is going to be a center pull 2-ply. So I'll wind this off and it'll be a 2-ply. And again, no prep. I sat down, I didn't even unbraid them, except for this one because I had done it, I dizzed it through the hand card. So with the exception of this one, all of them I didn't even unbraid. This one was never braided, so I couldn't not unbraid it. But I didn't unbraid them. I didn't pull them out of there. I kept them braided in my lap, and I just spun. So yeah, thanks, Lisa. Yes, I love how happy Rachel looks. I think it's getting back to simplicity. It just made my heart sing. It was like I actually have some yarn. I have some new yarn that's inspiring, and I felt inspired while I was spinning it. I was excited to spin it. I enjoyed every single one of them. I didn't feel like halfway through, I have to keep going. I just kept spinning, and I really enjoyed it. And the distraction of the tabletop games and playing with the kids kept me going, because I was enjoying what I was doing. I was enjoying watching the colors change, but I was also enjoying sitting and playing games for hours on end with my family. There was every single day that we did that, there was like at least 5 or 6 days that we did that because the kids were really unwell. They're just really bad colds, but still like just lethargic and just general malaise. It was quite funny because we would say, okay, enough, we've played for enough, we have to go out for a walk, we've got to get outside. And we would go out for an hour and go for a really good walk, and the kids would ride their bikes, and then we get back and the kids would be like, I'm so tired, I don't want to do anything. And we'd be like, well, do you want to keep playing our game? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, yes, yeah, let's do that. It was really quite funny. So, yeah, so that is the spinning. That is all of the spinning. That is a lot of spinning. And I'm so pleased to be able to share that with you guys and talk about it. And thank you for letting me wax poetic for a little bit. The last thing I wanted to share with you is my knitting. I haven't done a lot of knitting over the course of the holiday, and a lot of that is just because I've been spinning, which is so great. But I wanted to share my knitting with you really quickly. So let's do that next. So I haven't made a lot of progress on this, but this is the Dorset fleece. I'm going to show you a photo from actually like an actual photo, because I'm finding when I show this on here, it doesn't register properly. So I was trying to exhaust one of the dye pots after I did all that dyeing on the Beaumont alpaca that we talked about last show. And this was where I ended up, was with this, hang on, let me just go back to that photo. This is where I ended up. So again, this isn't actually super accurate. It's not quite as minty and quite as turquoisey, the final yarn, but I had shared with you all of that mending that I did back in December, and my pink velvet is really kind of on its last legs. I can wear it around the house and I can enjoy it, while it lasts, but it's really kind of at the end of its wearing it outside and wearing it in public life. And I love that sweater so much, and it fits me like a dream, and I really like it. So after I exhausted the dye bath with all of this Dorset and all of that dyeing that I did back in the fall, I wasn't super happy with the color that came out. It was that sort of, you know, washed out kind of champagne-y kind of color. And this isn't accurate. So this is not the right color. The cameras just don't like this color. It's way more subdued and washed out. And there's more nuance. Like the camera can't pick up on the nuance and the sort of kettle dyed appearance. And even when I go back, it's still just not reading it properly. But I used, what did I do? I used 0.1% depth of shade, and I added it, and I just added turquoise, and then I let it soak overnight, and then I brought it up to temperature, added the citric acid, and ended up with this. But like I said, this is not the right color. What you're seeing on the camera is not correct. It is way more subdued and quiet, and I really liked the results, but I wanted the contrast color for the yoke of pink velvet. And so I had bought some jacquard dye that was russet, and so I did a 0.2% depth of shade wash over top to give me my contrast color. And you would think that putting this next to this would help the camera to read it, but it doesn't at all. This is accurate, this is not. This is way more washed out and quiet. It's not bright and neon like it's showing on the camera. I don't know why the camera can't pick it up, but it just doesn't like it. Anyways, and I started knitting. So it's, again, this is not, the turquoise is not correct. But that's the beginning of pink velvet. So it's sort of these sort of tulip kind of flowers that go down, and you guys have seen it. It's one of Andrea Mowry's most popular patterns. And I've just been slowly working on it when I have an opportunity. I've been reading a really good book, so I have to admit this has taken a back seat because I've been enjoying my book. And yeah, just at the starting stages. The pattern has you cast on for the neck ribbing and then knitting down and then starting the yoke and doing all your short rows and stuff at the back neck. I skipped that because I found with this sweater and with pink velvet when I first did it, and then I ripped it out and redid it, I found that it stretches out the neck a little bit too much. There's not enough structure here to sort of hold the neck where it should be. So what I did, same as what I did the first time I knit pink velvet, I cast on, started knitting, and then I'll go back and pick up all these stitches and finish off the neck. And that also means I can do a tubular bind off, which will look really nice. So that is kind of nice to be able to do that. So I'll maybe have that done for the next show, because I do like to do that at the beginning so that I know that that's taken care of and I don't have to worry about running out of yarn. And yeah, so that's a new cast on, and I'm enjoying it. I just haven't worked on it a ton. Because there's been other things. I thought for sure I would work on it a ton on the ferry, because we were on the ferry 4 times over this holiday, but I ended up not. I ended up sitting and reading my book and really enjoying that. So that is kind of nice. Yeah, Dana, you're right. Nestle Rod is such a good one. Yes, absolutely. All right. Shall we talk about your favorite spins from last year, from 2024? Should we do it? Let's do it. Let's talk about that next. I'll see you guys on the other side. Okay, favorite spins of 2024. So what I did was I posted on the Slack channel during the wool circle at the end of the year on New Year's Eve. I posted I asked people to post in the Slack channel what their favorite spins of 2024 were, and if they could please share them. And so people did, and it was really fun. And if you have favorite spins that you did that you didn't get a chance to post, post them in the Slack channel and I'll share them next time round. Oh, and Christine's wondering what's the book. I'll share it with you on the Slack channel. This is from Eve. Pullworth and Cashmere. So her favorite spin was a Pullworth and Cashmere 3-ply. It was two singles of Pullworth and 1 single of Cashmere. She spun continuous backwards on her rows early in the year. And I remember when she was working on this and how pleased she was with it. Beautiful. And all the colors were they all matched, and it just, oh, it was beautiful. Were you going to weave with that, Eve? Was that your plan? I can't remember. I can't remember what your plan was, because usually you do weave with your hand spun. So was that your plan? My favorite spin was the yarn that I was just showing you. It was my Dorset fleece that was local to me. My friend Diana has some of it as well. Excuse me, sorry. It was the perfect yarn in the end. I loved it. It was round. It was a 3-ply. I was so pleased with it. It really reinforced for me that what I want to be doing is working from fleece. This was my absolute most favorite spin of the year. My Rideau Arcot Charolais Cross was a close second. Those were my 2 favorites, and surprise, surprise, they were both from fleece. This is from Lisa. Isn't this cool? It's Tyrolean Rock Sheep. Isn't this so much fun? I love this. I don't even think I saw you spinning this, Lisa, when you were working on it. Did you share it or did I miss it? I probably missed it, but what a cool, cool yarn and fiber. This was from Megan. It was a Shetland Manx Lochton linen blend. It was one of her favorite blends. It was soft and squishy with just a touch of planty. Love that. For those who are new to the community, when we say that something is planty, it means that it has sort of a slightly more cellulose fiber feel to it. So cellulose fiber, when it's added to wool, depending on the percentages and how much you've added or how much was added in the blend, depending on whether you made it yourself or you bought it, or somebody made it for you. It just increases the feeling of sort of a drapiness and a lack of elasticity, and it just has a feel to it that sort of is unique to cellulose-based fibers. Sometimes with flax, i.e. linen, sometimes with flax, when it's added, it can be the strict, and it can make the yarn feel, and it looks in the yarn and feels in the yarn very smooth, and very, depending on how you spin, it might be really super consistent, and it kind of just blends in. But if it's tow flax, which is the waste, it can be really textured, and it can be really, it can add a lot of texture to the yarn, and the spinning can be really textured and can add this whole 3-dimensional kind of feel to your yarn. And then when we add Ramie or any of the other bast fibers, hemp, any of them, cotton does the same thing, even though it's not a bast fiber. It just gives the yarn this overall feeling of sort of being planty. There's no other way to describe it. Megan came up with that term. She was the first one that used it in our community, and it's just bang on. I know it wasn't a new term when she used it. It was just years and years and years ago when she first used it. It was the first time most people had heard it. This is from Simone. I love these colors. Merino silk spun on support spindles. First drop spindle spun. She'd used, I'd only used a drop spindle prior, and it's knitted into a lace cowl 2-ply. Beautiful, beautiful, Simone. Yeah. This is from Eveline, BFL C-Cell project. I remember when she made this shirt back in the summer. Just beautiful. She bought the fiber in January and she was wearing it in May. She really loved how the colors started blending in the fiber. This, for those who are new to the community, these are my colors. Grello and gray, and I don't wear a lot of gray. It's not a great color for me, but when you put it with like Grello and white and cream and oh, you had me at Grello. This is from Christina. I love this yarn. It is beautiful, Christina. I can't wait to see this woven up. It's Sea Island cotton. It was a lovely, relaxing spin. She did it on her tackly spindles, her supported spindles. I spun a little most nights in bed before sleep, which is another reason I enjoyed it so much. She has warm, cozy feelings and memories of this fiber. Loves the creamy color, and it's very soft. And honestly, Christine, your spinning is just beautiful. Gorgeous. This is from Diane. Maybe her favorite was the Wool of the Andes singles that she spun this year. I love the sort of, it's gradient-esque. It's just beautiful. And then she also had another favorite spin that she did, which is this one. A new favorite. It was a totally feel-good spin. No planning, no fiber prep, no fuss. Yes. Didn't even make a control card. Me neither. I didn't strip it at all because I wanted longer color blocks. I divided it in half at the color repeat and divided the remainder between the skeins at the beginning of the bobbin so that the beginning would be the same as when it came time to ply. Worked out well, and I only had about a yard left on one bobbin. That's very consistent, Diane. That's amazing. It's green wood, 50% pullover, 25 each silk, and black bamboo. The color really changed in the spinning, and I love it. It's so sleek. It is beautiful, Diane. Your spinning is always beautiful. But what a fun spin to start off. I think this one wasn't really 2024. I think it was like her first spin in 2025. I might be wrong. But what a great way to start the year. It's from Dania. Beautiful photos. Difficult one to pick. This single is a blend of Rambouillet and alpaca. I was very conscious about making this even and thicker than I usually spin singles. I pictured the picture shows one of my first ever. Oh, that's a different photo. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just beautiful. Gorgeous. And then that little round ball, that was the picture shows one of her first ever spins. But that Rambouillet alpaca, man, Dania, beautiful. This is from Esther. Still a whip, but getting to process and spin this Gulf Coast native has been so nice. Beautiful. Look how bouncy and springy that looks. You just want to like spring and sproing. Beautiful. Gulf Coast native is fun. I did a blend of that earlier this year. It was in one of the clubs that Melissa of Melly Knits asked me to do for her to help her get caught up with her spinning and stuff, and Gulf Coast Native was in there, and it was fun. I really enjoyed that. It was one of the, was it Sommelier? I can't remember. It was in one of them. It was just so much fun to spin, so bouncy. This is from Paulina. My first chain ply rainbow, all spun on my drop spindle merino. It was a bamboo merino blend, and look at those bobbins. They're so pretty, just gorgeous. Love that. And then the finished yarn, so pretty. This is from Fionn. This is difficult. I know it was difficult to pick. It took me a few minutes as well. I really love this 3-ply combo of Bramble Ridge Gray Merino base. It had someone's grandpa, Rageberry, and Lady Olivia. I remember seeing this yarn in person back in the fall when I saw Fionn, and just beautiful. So moody, and she's already knitting her traveler shawl. I don't know if it's finished though, Fionn. I also love this bright, oh, and then she also spun another one that she showed, but I only did the one photo. Yeah, that's right, Dania, you're right. The Gulf Coast Native was in September Guts. That's right, it was in the September Guts from Melly Knits. Yeah. This is from Carolyn. I love this. I loved this South Down spin. It's a 3-ply, and I used it for socks. Aren't those socks incredible, especially with the gradient? Just perfect. Love that. Really, really pretty. And that yarn, that twist angle on that yarn is just beautiful. Gorgeous. This is from Lauren. I love this yarn. My favorite is a 3-ply combo Corriedale. I'm still undecided about what she'll make with it, but man, that is beautiful yarn. Look at that twist angle. It's beautiful. This is from Glenda, another beautiful spin. These socks are just gorgeous. My favorite yarn to make was a 3-ply Corriedale. I combo spun half of it and combo plied the other half, and then I made socks out of it. Beautiful. Combo spun half, so she combo drafted it. She held it together and drafted it all together, and then the other one she combo plied. So she had all the different yarns and then she plied them together. Beautiful and so effective. Really fun to see the effect of what happened in the socks, because they're a matching, mismatching pair, but you can see in the combo, I'm assuming, Glenda, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the combo draft is the sock on the right, and I suspect that it just muted the colors a little bit because they kind of spun together and twisted together. Whereas the combo plied, the colors stayed a little bit cleaner, and that's why you're seeing a slightly brighter sock on the left. I'm guessing. I might be wrong, but I wonder. Beautiful yarn. This is from Stephanie. Isn't this beautiful yarn? I might have to go with this recent Rambouillet Tussa 2-ply because, one, I fell in love with the pencil roving from Liz of Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks, and two, the color blends with large portions of white undyed fiber are really calling to me right now. I love these spins. They're so neutral and subdued, and they're easy to use. They're just beautiful. Gorgeous spinning, Stephanie. Thank you so much, you guys, for sharing everything and for sharing what you do. Thank you for participating so extensively in the community. It means the world to me and Rebecca. It means that we can keep doing what we do, and we wouldn't be able to if we didn't have you guys here doing those things. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I just realized, I'm not sure. Shoot, I missed you guys, or I lost you for a minute. Let me just grab, I don't have the end set up, so I'm just going to do that quickly while we say goodbye, and then I can run them properly and do the thing properly, because that really should do the thing properly. So until next time, happy spinning, happy knitting, happy all the things. I hope you guys are doing really, really super well. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next show in 2 weeks. And the Wool Circle will be streaming this time next week. So I hope that we will see you guys there. And if you have any questions about anything that we talk about here, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys, and I'm happy to help you with all of your questions as you navigate all the things, because I know that it can be really confusing. So take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.